I hate seeing you like this, so I'm flexing my eyes real hard to keep from crying. It's okay. We can still have a normal conversation. So, how's the food?
The Cyclops will drown you in your overwatered lawns.
Oh, David, could be worse. You guys could be a total power failure.
Eat glass.
It's the Al Travis Show. Love having our next guest on whenever we can get him. He's Representative Tim O'Driscoll. Representative, how you doing, sir?
Good. How about yourself?
Nowhere near as busy as you are, I presume, today. Kind of all heck broke loose. For folks who are going to just kind of see it maybe online this morning or as they get going today. Last night, yesterday afternoon, the governor and the powers that be, the big dogs, came out and announced that they had come up with their budget numbers. This is what they're going to shoot for. They've got it figured out, all the big things. And as they were doing that, sir, a whole lot of representatives, and as far as I can tell, all on the left, they were literally beating on the door to get in. They were so mad at what the management had agreed to that some committees didn't even go to work yesterday because someone on that committee was like, I'm not showing up. What happened?
Yeah,
Give us your version.
Yeah, it was a real problem for some of the folks on the DFL side of the world with the agreement that was struck. The biggest thing that I'm hearing is the House DFL was very disappointed that their leader agreed that persons who are here in Minnesota without proper documentation and without proper permission should not be allowed to be on Minnesota Care. Yep. And there was an exception to that for children because they're minors. They have to follow their parents, and they're somewhat victims in this situation. And so there was an agreement to allow children to stay on there, and that what caused a number of members in the Democratic caucus, both the House and the Senate, to, for lack of a better term, go ballistic.
Well, let me ask you this, because again, it's give and take. This was going to be that. I know they all had all the power 2 years ago. When having all the powers, they had every right, and again, this show is not ripping them. They had the right to grab what they wanted to grab, and they did it. Whether the rest of the Minnesotans cared or not, they gave medical care to Minnesota Care to illegal immigrants that are here. Right, wrong, or indifferent. They did that. Okay. The idea, though, that once the Republicans got a piece of the action, that they have some say in it, now you have to negotiate. Does the left really, I guess I want to say the far left, those that were yelling and screaming yesterday, did they not believe they'd have to give up something? I would have turned to them and said, okay, here's that $600 million, probably going to be a little bit more. Put it back in. What are you cutting?
Yeah, and the problem we have, Al, is that some of them are coming to the realization that they're not in complete trifecta control. Mm-hmm. And for a number of the members of the Minnesota House, anyhow, they have never served in the minority, and so they have what we call a majority mentality, which is we don't need to talk to you, we don't need to respect you, we don't have to work with you because we have the votes, we'll do whatever we want to do. And that is not the case right now. And so if that's how you grew up in the legislature, and now it's different. It does take some getting used to, and some come to it faster than others. And by the way, it is always helpful. It is always helpful when we have in a situation where power does move back and forth sometimes, because you get people who appreciate being in the majority, you get people who were in the majority who are now in the minority, knowing what that feels like, and it does bring people together to work much closer.
All right, so let's say the management literally got this figured out. This is what we agreed on it. This is the management. About the members of that progressive caucus, POCI, said they are blindsided, all about that Minnesota Care. About 30 Democratic lawmakers vowed they will not vote for this.
Mm-hmm.
So does it matter if management does it if the 30 of them decide not to vote?
That is going to be the job of the leaders who negotiated that on behalf of their caucuses to bring the votes necessary, along with the Republicans in this case, to pass the agreed upon changes.
Okay, so you can do that in 3 days?
I think everybody's going to summer school regardless. It was just too late to be able to get that. And some of these bills, we've got health, human services, and education, 72% of the state budget. And the size of those bills, because of the spending, the appropriations that are in there, are huge. We are, for the first time today, taking up the education K-12 bill for the first time on the Minnesota House floor. There is no way that we could get that bill to conference with the Senate, get the staff the ability to engross, meaning making any updates and changes that the House and the Senate agree to in the conference committee on the floor, debated, voted out by Monday midnight. It's just not practical.
Isn't that how this will blow up, though, sir? One of the things, one of the things in there was the unemployment insurance during the summer months for schools, right? That if you're a janitor or you're the cook or you're the para, you could get unemployment insurance. When we had all the money in the world 2 years ago, the trifecta from the Democrats, they put in, I don't remember what it was, $200 million to pay for that. Well, the schools are yelling and screaming that's not going to work. I believe one of the things that the Republicans gave up some ground on, Republicans wanted that repealed. We want to get rid of that. It's crushing our schools. As I read it, they said that they would they will grandfather it out. It's got 2 more years. You can do it for 2 more years, then it will have to be revoted if we're going to get it again. According to some, they will not vote for that as well. If we can't get that passed because the management can't convince people to sunset that deal, Republicans who could be mad because they want it gone, Democrats on their side saying this never should go away, doesn't the entire conversation the management has made up fall apart?
Well, in the Minnesota House, you need 68 votes to pass stuff. And I asked that question. I said, if midnight comes, tell me what 12:01 on the morning of Tuesday the 20th looks like, right? After midnight, we're supposed to be done. I said, do these agreements still stay? And they said, these are the agreements that all parties have agreed are going to be the roadmap to get things done this year. And that we have been told to be making sure that we're in town and available right through Monday, right on through till we get this taken care of, and we'll be moving forward. Now, again, if they don't bring votes on this and Republicans are bringing votes, we only need 68 to pass it in the House, and there's only 34 that need to pass it in the Senate. And I'm assuming that again, the DFL leaders will be bringing the votes necessary to keep their word on the promises that they made.
All right, it'll be interesting to see. And I get your idea about keeping the promises made, but some of the words in this, one of my last question for you, one of my last, those folks that are standing outside, the DFL who are standing outside the governor's office yelling and screaming about this recall, this taking back some of this Minnesota care for adults. Children stay there. Well played by the governor, by the way. A week and a half ago, he mentioned we have wiggle room there, but we're going to keep kids. No one wants to take medical care from a kid. That being said, they were yelling, chanting, "You are killing our communities." Mm-hmm. When you put terms down like that, Representative, you're killing our community. I listened to it. I said, I get the gist, but let's be honest. 2 years ago, they didn't have any health care, and communities weren't dying in the streets. Right.
Minnesota actually has laws, and there are some federal regulations, too. If someone presents themselves for medical attention in a hospital, the hospital cannot deny them care. That is whether you are a U.S. citizen or not. And I don't mean to say if you're not here undocumented. How about if you're here and, as a traveler, a guest in this country from somewhere? So that goes as uncompensated care to the hospitals and to the medical providers on there. And so we're simply trying to balance out that, get that money and use that money for people who are a reinsurance program in the state of Minnesota for Minnesota residents in the individual market. Premiums are soaring there, and the state has traditionally bought that down. We're going to need to use the monies to be able to take care of Minnesotans. People are actually paying premiums, contributing to their care through buying an insurance policy to have money available to cover those costs when they seek medical attention.
So, just real quick on the school side of things with this unemployment insurance program. There's a whole bunch of stuff in here no one's going to understand about the maximum payroll rate allowed to fund is being cut from 1.2 to 1.1%. I don't think that changes anybody's lives. Does this save the schools? Where are Republicans on that? Because I thought we were sticking up for all those superintendents that are going to go under because they can't afford the unemployment insurance.
Yeah, there are other provisions that are in the health, education bill, and it's a part of the agreement between the House and the Senate. So, if you will, some of that was pre-negotiated with the governor before the bills have been passed. So there are going to be things that are going to be coming as a part of the agreement that will be presented in conference committee to deal with some of those issues that you're talking about. The whole idea with the safe and sick time, that number going down, we clearly know that number is not sustainable at 1.2. So moving it down to 1.1 just moves the time that the knees go out from underneath the legs on that one.
All right. That's fair enough. And then there was some bonding, supposedly someone talked about it. I'm not seeing any of that. If you can't get done during the regular session with what we have to get done, is there any chance the bonding bill will be slid in with that for a vote when you all come back? Here's bonding, just take it or leave it. How does the bonding work if we haven't got our work done yet?
Yeah, and I don't know where we're at with bonding. I've not heard anything about that. I've been immersed in pensions myself, reinsurance here in the state of Minnesota, and the Commerce Committee, where I'm on the co-chair of that, and so I'm very actively involved in a lot of those issues that I just mentioned. And as a matter of fact, I probably should start getting back to some of those here pretty quickly.
I'm going to let you go right now. Just tell me from your point of view, because we love you on this program. You're always honest with us. Win or loss, who won, who lost in these negotiations? How did this frame up for you?
In the big picture, I think that Minnesotans who want a slower growth in government, Minnesotans who want some of the repeals on these things, and Minnesotans who haven't had a voice have that with the 1/2 of 1/3 that the Minnesota Republicans have in the House to be able to slow down the craziness that has happened. So is it all the wins people wanted? No. I can tell you that, retrospectively right now in session, I've had a number of people coming and say, please, you have to help, please, you have to help, please, you have to help. And I have to set expectations for people that we don't have a trifecta with 1/2 of 1/3 of a branch of government. And I think we've been pretty successful in my arena in getting some things balanced on this, and I know my counterparts as co-chairs in other areas have as well. So those are really where the wins are coming in. People may pick it up and hear it's like, well, that doesn't sound like a big win to me. Trust me, it could have and would have been an awful lot worse had the Republicans not had 1/2 of 1/3 of the Minnesota House this biennium.
We will see how this all shakes out. And again, a lot's going to go on in the next week, sir. I thank you for your time. I would say, as far as I can tell so far, Speaker Demuth really did your side proud.
Yeah, we are working well as a team. So with that, I do have to run, Al.
Talk to you, my friend. Thank you for taking the time. He's Representative Tim O'Driscoll on the Al Travis Show.
All the special interests are represented in St. Paul. But who speaks for you? Center of the American Experiment does. Our policy fellows dig into the tough issues that matter